Alright guys, here it is. This is the big one. FansToys FT-20 Terminus Giganticus, their Omega Supreme. And right off the bat, you can see that's MP10 right there. That is not a downscaled version or an upscaled version. That's straight up MP10. Just to give you an idea of how big his base mode is. Now, I measured it earlier, and it's about 38 inches from one curved end of the track to the other curved end of the track. And that's not counting these little bits here that stick out, little tabs that stick out on the back. That adds, it's about 40 inches, 41 inches all the way across if you count those little plastic tabs. But for the main track itself, it's about 38 inches across. It is not small. Let's see. I haven't done it this way yet, but from width to width, let me sneak this here through the, there we go. It's 20 and a half inches across the oval. So it's, he's a big mamma jamma. Probably, honestly, not even probably. He is, I think, the biggest mamma jamma I reviewed because he's about as tall as Titan's Return Fort Max and a lot more massive. He weighs about 11 pounds all told. And yeah, he's not a tiny dude. But here he is in his base mode, and like I said, there's MP10, just to give you an idea of just how big this whole thing is. We'll go ahead and get him out of here. We'll bring him back later on. So, we'll start off with the tank here. You come around. I'm actually having to walk around my kitchen here to do this, but so here's the tank. It's big, it's bulky, his turret clicks in the circle here. You can hear it nice and clicky. It does not auto-rotate. It does not auto-roll. He does have some little rolling wheels on the bottom here that kind of fit in the grooves on the track. You can see there are some grooves here and up here on the legs, much like the old track. Excuse me. But he's not like, while he does have some light-up features, he doesn't roll around like a normal tank. He does not automate it just rolling around the track. And that's probably a good thing because, like I said, while he does have these little wheels and tracks on the bottom of the tank, even when you get him lined up, rolling him around the track is not a super easy process. He will roll, he'll kind of roll down, but he doesn't really stay on the track or let the track guide him very well. So, as a display piece, very cool, but he's not going to automatically on the track, and even rolling him around can be problematic, especially with the hinges here. There's some hinges here where these tracks fold in half, which would bump his wheels right out of the track anyway. Now, in tank mode, like I said, he mostly rolls, if you have this flipped this way, he rolls on these wheels. Now you can flip this panel for robot mode, and if you do that, now he sits flat. Those are not the contact point, and he has these treads here. They are rubber treads. They do work, although I will say the rear treads work quite well as actual working treads. The front treads, they tend to get caught up, and this is fully extended, but they get caught a little bit here. They're just loose enough that if you put any pressure on them, enough pressure on them to catch them and roll them, they kind of get hung up right here at this lip where it meets. They're just loose enough that they snag on that. So he doesn't roll quite as freely as I would like on the tank treads if you fold those wheels up. He will roll on them, and they do work. They are working tank treads, but it can be a little bit of a pain to, I don't know if you can see those treads kind of rolling, but you're kind of forcing them. It's more like I'm sliding the rubber across the table because they do tend to jam up a little bit. But it's neat that they are real rubber working treads. Like I said, these back ones work great. So you've got the tank, you've got the little gantry there, the track, the big rocket, which does have a little loading ramp here. And what's cool is like you don't have to have this down. This shows as a transformation so everybody can load up, and then you just fold this top panel into there, push this up into the main piece, and then fold this up. You don't have to display it with the ladder down at all. And then you've got his big rocket thing that can sit there within the gantry itself. That's about all there is for base mode. It's just that. And we'll go on to transformation, I guess, which is where this gets a little crazy. So the rocket, we'll start off with that. It's easy. Pop it in half. You can see they just tabs together. The claw has 3 joints in it. One right up here on each claw. A mid joint, which bends a little bit there in the middle. And then a little bit of like a couple clip joint there on the tiny tip. So you can leave it fully extended for like a bigger claw. You can fold every joint to make it more of a rounder grabbing claw. However you just, anywhere in between those two extremes, however you decide to do it. And he can grab things. He can grab smaller figures and hold them up. He's actually, a lot of his joints are quite sturdy. But so, make his hand, open this up, and flip out the bicep piece, and close that back up. And that's all there is to that. I'm doing my best to keep all this in frame. Again, I'm actually standing about 2 feet in front of the camera at this point, so I'm doing my best to lean back and check it. And it should have enough range here to show everything if I keep it down low. But if I go out of frame, I do apologize. I really am trying to keep track of it this time. I know people can be grief about that. For the rocket, open up these 4 panels right here. Extend this cone, make sure it comes all the way up because there's slots down here, and then these lock in there and hold that out extended like that. And the same thing in the elbow joint here. Open this up, flip that out, close it, and there's this cannon arm. Both of these have LED features. You just rotate the cannon tip and pull it off, and you'll see like a little loose LED and a switch that'll light up a red LED, and you can it'll glow at the tip. You turn that off during the transformation. We'll turn it back on in robot mode to show it off. And I'll show you the claw one as well, and make sure that you want to make sure that goes into the little hole there. And it's the same kind of mechanism with the claw. You open this up, rotate this center piece counterclockwise. We'll unlock it. This one actually has the battery and LED all contained. There's a switch here on the back. Turn that switch on, and then you can insert this back into here. So he's got a glowing little claw hand there. Again, we'll turn it off, we'll turn it back on in robot mode. I'll put that down. I'm going to grab the batteries real quick, just to let you know what kind it takes. It takes 8, 2 in each, 2 in here, 2 in here, and 2 in each of the torso LEDs. And they are LR626, LR66. I got a little pack of them off eBay for like $2 shipped, so you can find those cheap. Anyway, we've done the arms now. We'll stick those off to the side, and we'll take the gantry apart. This is his feet and backpack, and so just pull the backpack up off of there, and then you've got the 2 separate foot pieces. On the backpack, I slide these guns in. There's little tabs here that allow you to slide these little guns forward, but they're kind of non-functional in robot mode because you're tabbing the wings in back here. So push those in, and you've got the gantry. Lift these pieces up, rotate. There's enough of a gap here that you can rotate the arm around like this, and lift it out to the side. Again, rotate. Oh, there's not where that panel just plugged in there. There's some screws hidden under that panel. Rotate this around like this, lift it up, and go ahead and kind of ratchet the upper arms down like that. And you're left with a piece kind of like that. And again, we'll get to that later on. Not sure where I should put this on. The feet, close up these little ramps right here. Lift this up. Rotate it so it's facing the front of the foot. Actually, this way. So that the metal hinge is on the front of the foot. Don't forget to flip out his heel. I was having some hard time getting him to stand when I first got him. And then I found the flip out heel. So. Again, flip out the heel here. And there's also 2 side panels here that flip out to make this triangular. And we'll set the feet off to the side. for just a moment. And now we get to the tread, the what's the word I'm looking for? The track itself. Lift them up, or actually lift these pieces up. There's a slight, you'll see it when there's a little gray extension piece, a light gray on top of the dark gray. And then the end tracks come up. And use that hinge to just fold in half, and there's some cool technical detailing on the inside, on the underside of these that will be visible in robot mode. And these are just going to peg into the backpack here later. So we got that one, and we'll go ahead and do the same over here. Fold that up, and again, those can go off to the side. Go ahead and move the tank part out of the way. Now the legs. This is where it gets a little tricky. Underneath here, here is thigh pieces, and rotating these in and out can be a little bit of a pain in the butt. They do have a specific position in here. There's if you don't have these rotated around, some people were asking, you do have to rotate these flat. Otherwise, either the track won't sit flat, they'll angle down and will push this whole piece up, or if you try to push it flat, they'll pop open these trap doors in the track. So you do want to make sure these get rotated around properly, as well as there's some little posts in here you want to make sure get angled down in vehicle mode. So, take this, lift this up, fold this gray piece in, this whole assembly, open up this track. And you need to kind of push this up and through. It actually helps this, again, it helps if you have to rotate it after you're through here. So rotate this around. This is the easier side. The side with the big die-cast joint here is actually a lot easier than the other side with the yellow piece on it. But push that up and through. This whole assembly rotates around and down into the leg itself. Unlock this little panel here in the middle. There's a little panel here. You want to make sure you lock that going back. Come around, close that panel, lift this up, and rotate this around like that. And it's kind of the same on this side, although this has a slightly different mechanism over here. So open up the flap, and fold that down and in. And this one I always worry about when I'm rotating, because it always catches a little bit no matter how I got it oriented. And I'm afraid I'm going to unscrew it or pop it off or tear the screw out. But it is doable. And it does help if you bend it a little bit. There we go. Rotate it around, push it up and through. You got to get everything clearanced the right way. There we go. Make sure everything has a clearance. Then fold this up, push this in, lift this up, close this panel, and rotate this around. This actually to the opposite direction of this one. Here we go. Bring that forward. So this is at a 90-degree angle, or perpendicular to, or parallel to the top of this. This round piece. This sticks out. So this comes up front. This goes in the back. Now we're going to bring the feet back in. And you want to make sure you get the correct foot. They look the same, but each one tilts differently. So you want to make sure you get the correct leg, foot on the correct side. The ankle tilt. And this leg is, okay, this has the opening to the, this is the front. The front without the piece, part without the yellow piece is the front, and the opening is to this. So this is going to be his right leg. So we want to make sure that we have the foot that's going to tilt the other way than this. We want to have the foot that, as you angle it out, is going to tilt the proper way. So in a wider stance. So here's his right foot. Those posts I mentioned before that were folded down, make sure they're up, because they're going to peg together up here. And then the foot, these little pieces that cradled these pieces in vehicle mode, they plug into these gaps. So we take this, we'll go ahead and plug one side in here. And you need to be very careful with this as well, because this metal bar has to angle up and come through this slot right here as you do it. So you want to line this up with where it pegs in, as well as push this up high enough so that it angles through that slot. And it's a little tricky, but once you get it done, there you go. Then just fold this in half and around. Make sure these the little posts we brought up stay straight. Peg it all together. Lift this forward a little bit so this will peg on to the front. Snap it all together. Right here, snap this on. Something's not catching here. Something has not collapsed properly. There we go. The metal bar was just not in the interior slot like that. So yeah, these panels, everything kind of, there's some pegs on the front here that this thing kind of slides over and pegs. Probably the scariest part of the leg transformation is this little piece right here. You can see there's his leg, the tab, the little connector piece detail there. You can go ahead and leave these disconnected because that's how we're going to attach it to the torso. And you can see now he's got the ankle tilt in the proper direction. So there's one leg down. We're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Okay, bring this up, put out. That's good to go. Now we're going to go through the same process of pushing these panels all around through over here. Rotate that up and through. Pull this up and down and in. Collapse it. You see there's the gray piece goes right there. Close that up. Bring that forward and again with this piece parallel to the top of the gray piece. And flip that up. Get down here. And then we'll do the same on the other side. Bring these posts up here. Open up this. Bring this piece up. Get it to a position where it can rotate. And push it through. Down and around, and bring this up forward on here. Close this up, untab this hinge in the middle. You will kind of untab if you just start to fold it up, but make sure this piece gets folded up inside here. Then we take the foot and once again make sure the line it up here, as well as making sure that this metal piece slides up through the top and that these pieces fit over the tabs in there. Then fold the other half up and around, and it should all totally lines up properly. Tab together like that. Push it together. Oh, we forgot one of those posts didn't go up, so I've got to make sure that alright, fine. You don't make sure that it'll still hold together if you don't fold both of these posts up on each side, but you'll have a gap in the back and you don't want that, so. Problem I'm having is, there we go, the tab on the inside of this track that goes into the foot was not wanting to line it properly. But there, and now see this leg will connect this way until it's this way for combine mode. So now it's just the tank we got left. So let's Go ahead and move these off. And the tank's actually not super difficult. So we'll bring them down here. We'll go ahead and lift this front panel up, collapse this up onto here, open these side hinges here on both sides and fold these up into here like that. Open these yellow panels here on the top, at which point we'll slide these forward and fold the guns up in, which reveals the yellow panel here. And again, we'll do it on this side. Slide it forward, flip it up into there, close that back up. This will detach and rotate. You see there's die cast hinge here. This assembly rotates around and pegs onto the side there. And same with this piece. Just like that. Lift this up. Go ahead and take the turret assembly and just fold it up like that. Now these whole assembly, you want to rotate the treads. It kind of steps down like this. Unpeg not just the yellow part, but this whole side tread assembly. Pull it out on these hinges down here and let them kind of angle down. Lift this up and rotate the entire middle section of the torso around like that. Collapse this, fold these back up and lock them back into place. Like I said, push this piece all the way up. Leave his legs like this. Flip out these little gray connectors on either side. And then fold this down and tab it onto the back like that. And then up here on the turret, you take the cannon, push that in, angle that up if you want. Open up his canopy here and rotate the interior. There's a switch here for his LED eyes. And you can turn it on and then turn his head around, but there's enough room back here that you can actually just reach back and flip that switch and give him glowing blue eyes anyway. So I usually just do it like that. I don't bother turning it on or off before it goes around. But he does have some really nicely metallic blue painted eyes that then light up. So even if you don't use the LEDs, he still has some very nice, vibrant, tealish eyes, which we'll zoom in on later on. And close that down. And there is his torso. I have added an Autobot symbol to him, so just so you know. So let's hook them all up, shall we? So I don't think he's going to fit in the shot. Let me lift this up. Go ahead and lift this up a little bit because we're going to be raising him up quite a bit just by adding the legs. So here's what I was talking about earlier. Let me get both the legs here right away because doing one and not the other is a pain in the butt. So these gray connector pieces you can see that go through on the treads, there's some little square pegs on each half of here that are going to peg into those. So you basically take him and line this up, slide the tread in and make sure that square peg on the back goes through the back peg, and then close this up so everything locks together like that. And there you have him with one leg. And we'll go ahead and do the other. Again, line this up so the square peg goes through, and then close this up. And you can kind of look in there and make sure everything tabs together, although when you got it all lined up, it doesn't take a whole lot. It should just kind of line up. And there he is. Huh. He actually is all fitting in there. Granted, he won't with his tracks, but you get an idea of the size of him. So the backpack. Take him like this, lift these panels up, and it helps if you come over, slide this down, make sure the arms fit in. Because there are two gray tabs here on his shoulders that are going to go in these slots here in the yellow, as well as these pieces are going to come down and clip into here. So come over, and it helps if you come over his shoulder like this, seat it lean them forward a little bit if you have to snap these in place. Because these are harder to snap if you put it in the backpack all the way first. So, get the whole front end attached. I don't know why you're not lining up. There we go. And then once those are in, come back here, and there's some tabs here that are going to tab into this gray piece back here. And that's the easiest way to get that to lock on. And once you've got that locked on, there's these 2 tabs here on the track piece, and there's some holes in the backpack, and you just kind of push them in and attach them like that. And on the other side, the same as well. Just slide them in there, push it in, and Bob's your uncle. Now, oh, those actually do mostly fit in there. They're not quite in frame, but we can pull this back just a little bit. And then the arms, that's all we got left. There's a hinge, there's a panel back here on the back of the arm, the back side of the elbow. Open that up, and then on these posts, you want to make sure that the flat, okay, there's a flat side to these. There's a groove all around it. And then a flat side here that does not have a groove in it. I'm going to make sure that goes to the front, because these 2 tabs here are going to slide into these grooves, and then there's a tab on this hinge that goes in the back that needs to plug into the back. So make sure the flat side of this dark gray piece is facing forward. Slide the arm on, and then push this tab into the back. And there's one arm on, and same over here. Open this up, slide it on like that, push this tab up. And that, my friends, is Terminus Giganticus. It is huge robot mode. Now, again, I had MP10 out earlier. I'm not doing the comparison of this with everything in the world because I feel like that kind of speaks for itself. He's gigamongous. Just gigamongous. I mean, like, there's no other way to describe him. You will notice that he's standing here just fine with his legs straight. He does have some wobble. He is tall. Like I said, if I push him, he'll wobble a little bit. But I can shake the table. I mean, you can see an MP10 wobbling down there. He's pretty sturdy. He does have some wobble at the joints, but like he's not in any danger of falling backwards. That's why you want to make sure you have those heels extended, because if you don't, he will fall right back over. But I'm not going to be content with just MP10. I do have also the other size comparison we're going to get is here's Titan's or Combiner Wars Devastator, and he comes up to the Autobot symbol on his chest. Just to give you an idea, like this guy is huge, and he weighs. I mean, like he's got some heft to him. You hear him clomping on the table. He's a big guy, and that's super impressive. So let me get these guys out of the way. He does have a couple of options. We'll get to the LEDs here in just a second. And I apologize if I'm going in and out. Like I said, usually I'm sitting right next to the camera, and in this instance, I'm literally walking in probably a 10-foot circle to get behind the camera, check everything, and get everything done. But, so this is him with the translucent chest plate, and no panel down here, just a solid gray. I thought he came with both a solid red and a translucent red little piece like this that can plug in down here, but it's just the solid red one. So if you go translucent, you've got this. And I wouldn't mind the translucent, except that they have painted this a solid red that matches the solid panels better. So there's that. But then if you put on all the solid stuff, this piece up here is still translucent. None of it looks bad, but it's just, if you really want like one solid look all down the front of the robot, you just can't get it with the parts you're given. So LEDs. We already mentioned the claw LED. I'll go ahead and pop that out. Turn that on. Push it in. Twist it. This one, open it up, turn it on, put it back in there, line it up, and twist it so you can see it. We'll open up his visor, turn on his blue LEDs in his eyes. I don't know how well those are showing, but on camera, but well, and of course it's right behind the timer on it. He does have some blue, you can kind of see him there. And then in the chest, you can open up the chest panel here, the way it rotates. Because to transform him, you just open it up, slide this up, and that's how you flip the wheels out for transformation. But inside here, he also has a little LED in his chest. I'm not sure why, but you can open this up. And he does have room for the MP10 Matrix or whatever, any other figure that it came with there in his chest. Let me actually come in a little bit on that, just to show off some of these features up close. There's the Matrix in his chest, the glowy cannon, the glowy claw down here, and then the glowy eyes. And then again, here's I'm holding my whole tripod up in the air here. Zoom in here and get a look at his face. So all in all, he's like a pretty nicely designed figure. Like I said, I don't know what's up with that Matrix chamber, but it is there for those who want Omega Prime. Although if you wanted Omega Prime, you should have gone back to like 2000 Car Robots was out. Anyway. I'm going to go ahead and turn this chest panel off because I was showing you that it's there. That's really all there is to it. I'll leave the other two on for the time being. But, so yeah, here he is. Like I said, this is a translucent chest panel. He does have a solid red chest panel and a solid red crotch plate. And to swap those, because this is just in a rail, you just open this up and then just twist it. So these two tabs just come out of the rail, pull it off, and pop on this piece. You can fully transform him into tank mode with either chest piece. He has the wheels on this one as well. The yellow here is not a removable piece. It's just matte paint over the molding, so you can't actually pull that out and replace it with a solid piece unless you get a third-party piece. I know somebody's working on it. And then you take this piece and plug it into this slot right here to give him a red crotch. That's all personal preference, but again, like I was saying, now everything from here down is solid red, but he's still got this translucent red piece on the chest. It doesn't bother me really, but if you're OCD, that could be, or just not even OCD, if you just don't like things like that, I can see how that would annoy a collector. So, Poseability. He said his head does not look up or down, it just twists side to side. I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing for Omega Supreme. That's kind of how he was. But he's got ratcheting, really heavy ratchets all around. Like I said, you just do this. You can very well have him hold smaller figures and just wrap his claws around Prime here. But with really little trouble, he's holding at a fairly decent arm's length as well. He's holding MP Prime there. So he's sturdy, thanks to his big beefy ratchets. He does have some wobble. I can't ignore that, but it's not a I'm going to fall over wobble. But yeah, so we've got the ratcheting at the shoulders, ratcheting out to the side at the shoulders, ratcheting bicep swivel, which again supports his arm. Nice chunky ratchets. This hand also has the ratcheting claws. Same on the other side, just show it off real quick. Although again, no articulation in the gun arm. But he has the same hip, shoulder, biceps. He does have a waist swivel. You can turn him side to side. You can do a full 360 if that's what you want. Now he does have some angling in the hips. And a lot of people, I think this is what people have been talking about, like he won't stand straight, but if he, everybody has him with his hips angled. Personally, I think he looks a little bit more natural with his hips angled out, just in the standing position. But like I've said, you don't need to do that to have him stay stable. And he does, so he's got some front, some angling there on his hips. Side to side ratchets, front to back ratchets. which are super tough there. He does have knees, although they are not super. Thanks to the, I mean, like, those are the big bulky boots. They don't have a whole lot of articulation in them, but they are there. And like I said, he's got some clicks of ankle tilt, so you can get him in. If you want to have him in wider leg stances, you can do so. Now, Floating Cat, Andrew, did take some pictures of people were asking if you extend the hip joint here, the waist joint for for tank mode, you can extend him here and get a little bit more motion out of the hip forward. You can get a full 90-degree forward with the hip. So you can kind of have him in sitting positions, but then you have this gap in the hip. Now again, when he's big and sitting down, you don't notice that. When his hips are fully rotated forward, they kind of fill in that gap, but it is something to be aware of. So final verdict, is it worth it? When you think of what 3P products, third-party products cost, I think what he's going for, what, like $280, $270, $350, I don't know what. I think Robot Kingdom had him for $280, but then you got to ship him, and shipping a guy this big overseas is going to cost a lot. But for the scale size of what you normally pay for a Voyager-sized or third-party figure, he doesn't seem to be mispriced in that manner. And even then, this is the biggest third-party figure I think I've handled. He's not quite as broad and bulky as Pandanus and Make Toys City Bots, but he's huge. Now, DX9 also has their Gabriel coming, and it's one of those things where I can't say, this one's obviously better. I haven't handled DX9's Gabriel, and there are a few things design-wise that I think look a little better on that one. So yeah, my biggest issue with this, and it's probably the selling point of it, is that it's just so dang big. I really like well-designed figures. He's big, he's sturdy. If you want him and you want a good giant Omega Supreme on your table, he's gonna fit that bill, no problem, no fuss, no muss. Look at him. I mean, he really is awesome. Like, he was not anything that was even on my would I purchase this radar, and then he showed up and he's amazing. He really is. But like I said, my biggest drawback to him is just his size. I don't know where he's going to fit. I could make room for him, but do I want to? Do I care enough about Omega Supreme to have a giant one taking up space in my house? And that's a question I got to figure out. I have, and maybe I'm in more of a minority in the collector world. So maybe I'm wrong, but like, I have very much gravitated toward like the Iron Factory scale, because I feel like they're making a lot of really fun little figures at a size that you can easily just grab and throw in your pocket and take with you and play with, display a whole bunch of on a desktop without taking up all the space. That's kind of where my collection is focused right now, or where I get most of my fun, because I can't carry him into work with me on a whim, you know, like. But he is a very impressive display piece, and he's very solid. Like I said, I've read comments on the boards. He does have some general wobble to him, like when I push him and rock him back and forth. But like, I mean, like, I'm pushing him. He's not like I'm not shoving him. Like anything you shove this big, it's like shoving a toddler. It really is. You're gonna push him down. But under just normal stress, like I said, I can shake the table and get him wobbling, but he's not going anywhere. So yeah, I'm just, like I said, it wasn't an issue for me. I'm only harping on it because I've seen so many comments about the wobble on the forums, and like, yes, it's there. It's not something that is going to topple him if you look at him funny. It's not like Leader Megatron's nose cone that pops open at the drop of a hat. But so yeah, there's that. And as you can see, he can stand straight without tipping or toppling. Like I said, personally, a lot of the pictures I think have had his feet kind of angled out like that, and I just feel like that's a more natural standing pose. Maybe not for a robot, but for a person. But any pictures I had like that weren't, this is the only way he'll stand. He will stand quite securely with his legs forward. He's big. He is very awesome. I can't deny his awesomeness. I don't know, like I said, without having one in hand, I could not tell you definitively, is he better than any other giant Omega Supreme coming out? I don't have the definitive evidence to answer that concretely. But if you have him on order, or you've been looking at him thinking like, that is something I would like to have, but is it worth it? If this is something you would like to have, the answer is yes.